Center Maine is partnering with the Maine Monitor to bring you some of the reporting being done by journalists at the nonprofit independent publication. We'll be featuring one of their stories each Monday. Today, we are talking about the need to recruit and to keep teachers in Maine. This legislative session, state lawmakers have introduced several bills aimed at growing the educator workforce in Maine. They include provisions to increase the minimum salary for teachers, increase early career support, and expand the ability to get conditional teaching certificates. So Christian Moravec is a reporter with the Maine Monitor. Her in-depth story about these efforts was just published over the weekend. Christian, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
Of course. All right, let's start with this one. One of these bills, LD 696, it asks lawmakers to allocate money to sort of continue operating the state's teacher residency program. So let's start with this. What does that residency program entail, and how have schools and educators in Maine benefited from it?
So the Maine Teacher Residency Project kind of tries to do two things. It looks at filling vacancies in school districts and also tries to help budding teachers enter the career field, and it does this using stipends. So a student at any college or university, or maybe a newly emergency or conditionally certified teacher, can receive a $3,500 stipend if they are employed in a school district. And then while they're working at the school district, they get to work with veteran educators in the field, and those veteran educators also receive a stipend of their own of about $3,000. So a lot of advocates either for this program or for this bill, LD 696, they really see this as a win-win for everybody involved. Students in the program enjoy the financial benefit of working a paid position and also being able to have that little bit of tuition assistance from the stipend. And then on the other end of it, schools get to fill open positions that they desperately needed to fill.
And they're learning, they're getting that hands-on experience at the same time.
Absolutely.
So there's also a piece of legislation, LD 369, about expanding conditional teaching certificates. What are conditional teaching certificates?
So a conditional teaching certificate is something that can be issued in the event that a teacher who has applied for a full certification maybe hasn't met all of the requirements needed to receive that full certification. So the Department of Education kind of describes it as a tool to kind of help those educators reach that goal of full certification. It only lasts for 3 years. It can't be renewed. And it only makes up really about a small percentage of the total amount of certificates that the department issues. So between 4 and 6%, given the numbers that they've pulled between 2019 and 2024.
So if this legislation passes, what would that mean for Maine?
So this legislation is still in the committee phase. It's still with the Education and Cultural Affairs Committee, and it's still being tweaked a little bit. There have been some amendments proposed, but the broad idea of this bill is to kind of reduce those barriers that educators perceive in the certification process. This is what advocates for the bill are saying. And the broad text of the bill really aims to give more power to the Commissioner of Education to maybe extend certifications in the event that a conditional certificate has expired, but maybe this person hasn't maybe fulfilled all of the requirements that they needed to get that full certification, or maybe extend conditional certifications to college professors who have taught at universities or colleges for 5 years and maybe go back to the classroom. So we'll have to kind of keep an eye on it as it moves through the legislative process, but it's definitely one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, a lot on the horizon here. Christian Moravec, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
And you can read the full story and much more at themaine-monitor.org.